tackle the learning episode 9, which is creating my classroom or remote learning management plan. Okay, but before I proceed to my discussion, let me enumerate first the learning outcomes of this learning episode. Okay, at the end of this learning episode, I must be able to explain the importance of my classroom management plan, enumerate the components of my classroom management plan, write my classroom management plan, also use professional reflections and learning to improve practice. Okay, so let us move to our next slide, which is the classroom management plan. Okay, so when we say classroom management plan, it is a plan that a teacher designs that sets the expectations for every student. The purpose of a classroom management plan is to make the students accountable for their actions. Also, effective classroom management increases student success, enhances students' academic skills and competencies, and promotes social and emotional development. Okay, so when we say classroom management plan, no, it is designed by the teacher to ensure the safety and the protection of the students. So, for instance, when we say classroom management plan, it is defined as the action teachers takes to establish and sustain an environment that foster academic achievements as well as their social, emotional, and moral growth. So, in other words, no, classroom management plan is not an order to order sake, but it is learning sake. Okay, so let us move again to our next slide. So, the teaching and learning process may be implemented in various modalities. So, teachers must bear in mind that alternatives and other options may be considered in designing the classroom or remote management plan. Okay, so, in teaching and learning process, no, it is important that we consider the different alternatives of the different alternatives as well as the options in designing classroom and remote learning management plan. Okay. So, a good learning environment produces highly engaged students who learn more, do more, and work more. The teachers likewise become more creative and productive in their work. So, it is also says here, no, na having an effective learning environment or conducive learning environment, it motivates students to learn more, do more, or work more. So, likewise, no, sabi nga dito, no, the teachers become more creative and productive in their work. Okay. So, let us move to the key elements for effective classroom management. So, here in key elements now, we have 7. Okay, the first one is classroom design. So, this refers to seating arrangement, bulletin boards, display, storage area, equipment, supplies, and etc. Okay, so when we say classroom design, no, it is not just about creating a comfortable learning environment, but it is about enhancing learning and development. Okay, so for instance, classroom design is intentional design. Use the positioning of your desk, also your display, the storage and equipment, also the bulletin boards to create a warm and welcoming room. Okay, so this should be done, no, during summer vacation. Okay, so when we say summer vacation, it is prior to the arrival of our students. So dapat before pa man mag-i-start yung school year, dapat nakaayos na yung ating classroom, di ba? Okay, so dapat yung mga unnecessary and distracting items sa loob ng classroom is na-remove na natin. Number 2 elements is the rules. So these are the expectations set at the beginning of the class to foster love, care, respect, and sense of community in the class. So when we say classroom rules, no, it is set to teach students a proper and safe way to act within the classroom and improving students' learning. Okay, so every minute inside the classroom no is very important. Okay, so if walang rules na pinapalo yung ating mga students, so hindi ganon kaganda yung situation sa loob ng ating room. So, nagiging parang hindi kasi discipline yung ating student if wala silang rule na pinapalo. So, rules is a must, okay? Number 3 is discipline. Classroom rules must define the consequences of every action or misdemeanor in class. This will ensure fairness and consistency in dealing with the students. This also includes the rewards given for good behavior. So, when we say discipline, no, it creates habits. So, habit become routines. So, routines become who we are in a daily basis. So, ganun lang siya. Kung ano yung kung ano yung discipline na na-acquire natin, nagiging routines natin yun siya for our everyday life. So, also, no, discipline help us train our minds and body and enable us to focus on our goals and to regulate our own emotions. So, okay, so, for instance, no, kapag kasi well-disciplined yung ating mga students, so, yung kanilang work is yung top priority nila, also, yung focus sila sa kanilang goals, something like that. So, number 4 is scheduling. This includes time allotment given for each period and activity in class. This will make the students to stay on time and on task. So, when we say scheduling, no, it enable us to prioritize important tasks. So, hindi naman pwede mag-a-add tayo ng time on the day of our class kasi may limited time tayo na ginagamit, no, especially sa mga senior high, 'di ba? Sa field study natin is may 1 hour lang yung teacher para magturo. So, hindi na dapat malate pa tayo sa pagpunta sa room, ganyan. Kasi 1 hour lang yung pwede natin gamitin. So, dapat sa 1 hour na yun, alam natin kung paano natin gamitin. Kung sa 1 hour, dapat ganito na yung mga nalilearn ng ating students. So, number 5 is organization. So, this refers to the systematic arrangement of files and records and keeping them organized, always and ready for use. So, dito sa organization, no, dapat as a teacher, we are organized. So, hindi lang kasi isa or dalawa yung students natin. Marami sila, di ba? So, dapat organized tayo sa kanilang mga files and records. Kasi kapag kailangan na natin yun, mas madali nating makukuha. Ganyan. So, as well as yung ating mga teaching materials, no? Kung dapat organized din ito. Kasi kapag gagamitin natin na, mas madali nating makikita or makukuha. Ganon. Number 6 is instructional techniques. So, these are ways by which you implement your learning content. Tailoring your techniques to the subject, grade levels, and nature of the learners is really important. So, when we say instructional techniques, no, if we use instructional techniques, we need to consider the grade levels or sa subjects or sa nature ng ating mga students. So, hindi naman pwede na gagamit tayo ng instructional techniques na hindi appropriate sa subject area natin or sa grade levels natin, no? So, dapat appropriate siya sa subject area, sa subject, grade levels, or sa nature ng ating students. Number 7 is communication. So, consistent open lines of communication to all the stakeholders of the school community will lead to better teacher-student-teacher relationship. Okay. So, when we say stakeholders, no, ito yung si student, the beneficiary of the school community natin. Also, yung ating mga co-workers, administrators, also the staff members, and parents of the students, no? So, communication kasi between stakeholders is one way to implement an effective classroom or school environment. Okay, so yun yung 7 key elements for effective classroom management. Okay, so as we all know, no, each teacher has its own unique style on how to manage classroom. But these 7 key elements are the common method na ginagamit to create a positive classroom management. Okay, so now we will move to the 7 components of classroom or remote learning management plan. Okay, so number 1 is philosophical statement. So these are the guide questions in philosophical statement. So, what is your set of ideals, values, beliefs, and goals on classroom or remote learning management? Also, what set of criteria and or standards will you set to judge the quality of your classroom or remote learning environment? So, meaning no, when it comes to philosophical statement, dito napapasok yung human ideals, values, and beliefs natin as a teacher. Okay, so, when creating a classroom or remote learning management plan, importante alam natin kung ano yung goals natin as a teacher. Okay, so dito din papasok yung criteria and standards na dapat ba yung ating classroom is organized, dapat ba attractive yung ating classroom, something like that, no? Okay, so because now we believe that having an effective classroom management plan can help to the success of every student. Okay, the second one is classroom rules and procedures. So the guide question is, what classroom rules and procedures will you formulate to ensure discipline and order in your class? Okay, ano nga ba, no? So, having an effective classroom rules and procedures is one of the components of classroom or remote learning management plan. Why? Because we need to ensure the order and discipline in our class in order for our students to know kung ano nga ba yung tamang paraan or kung ano nga ba yung dapat nilang gawin inside or outside the classroom. Okay, so ito yung ilan sa mga routines natin sa loob ng classroom, no? Number 1 is movement into the classroom, also the movement outside the classroom, also passing of papers, passing of books or assignments, also the absent students na hindi dapat si students palagi nag-absent sa school, no? Okay, at saka yung mga trash nila dapat itapon nila to sa tamang tapunan, something like that. Okay, next, teacher-student relationship. So these are the guide questions. Okay, so how will you treat every student in your class? How will you interact with them? How will you ensure good interaction between and among students and superiors? Okay, so in order for us to have a good relationship with our students, no, ano nga ba yung dapat natin gawin as a teacher? So, dapat ba may tinatanong si student or magtatanong si student, dapat ba galit agad tayo? Dapat ba sisigawan natin sila? Dapat ba sasabihan natin sila, hindi ko alam, umalis ka dyan? Ganon? So, hindi dapat, no? Of course not. Okay, dapat maging gentle tayo sa kanila, yung patience natin, dapat nandun pa rin as a teacher. Also, kailangan fair tayo sa ating mga students, no? Hindi dapat nagkakaroon ng favoritism sa loob ng classroom. Also, we always remember as a teacher, we are the second parents of our students. Dapat dapat maipakita natin sa kanila yung love and care. Also, it is important na maipakita, also maiparamdam natin sa kanila na we understand them, we understand their situations, we understand their feelings, ganon. In order for us to get their trust and to build a good relationship with them. The next one is schedules and time frames. So these are the guide questions. So how will you organize your class schedule? How will you keep your students to stay focused and on task? Okay, so as a teacher, no, it is important that we organize our class schedules and we have time management. So, hindi yung nauubos yung oras natin sa mga ibang bagay. So, katulad na lamang ng example ko kanina sa mga senior high school students na may 1 hour lang si teachers para magturo. Kahit hindi 1 hour, no, kahit may mga 3 hours pa tayo magturo, dapat alam natin i-manage yung time natin na dapat sa ganitong oras madami na na-learn si students. May mga activities tayo na ipapagawa sa mga ganitong oras, something like that. Dapat alam natin yung paano gamitin yung oras, ganon. Hindi yung like papasok ka tapos nag-story ka sa mga students mo ng ganyan-ganyan na hindi naman related, something like that. At saka yung uutusan mo pa silang maglinis, something like that, na may day naman na pwede maglinis lahat, something like that. Yung ending kasi nun, yung parang nauubos yung time na dapat may na-learn na si students, no? Hindi yun magawa dahil parang sinasayang mo pa yung oras mo sa ibang bagay na dapat sa ganitong oras na may na-learn na sila, something like that. So dapat maging wise tayo sa paggamit ng ating time, no? Okay, so to keep our students naman focused and on task, no, it is important that we master our topic. Dapat master natin, no, yung ating topic na kapag kasi master natin yung topic natin, we know what are the activities na ipapagawa natin sa kanila na in order for us to catch their attention, ganyan, and to avoid boredom sa loob ng classroom. Okay, the next one is classroom structure, design, and arrangement. So this is the guide question. So how will you design your classroom to create an appropriate learning environment? Okay, so in these components, no, it refers to the setting of our classroom and includes the seating arrangement, the arrangement of the chairs, the bulletin boards, and other display inside the classroom. So dito din natin makikita yung pagka-creative and innovative natin as a teacher. If how can we make our classroom neat, attractive, and organized, because kasi having a conducive learning environment can motivate and help students to focus on their study because they are comfortable with their learning environment. The next is classroom safety rules and procedures. So these are the guide questions. Okay, so how will you ensure the safety and security of your students? Also, what rules will you formulate to safeguard their protection? Okay, so when we say classroom rules and procedures, no, it aims to ensure the safety and protection of our students. So meaning it is very important that we organize our classroom. So, yung mga bagay na maiisip natin na pwede makapahamak sa kanila, pwede makasugat sa kanila, or pwede mabagsakan yung mga students natin, no? Something sharp things like that. Something like that, no? It is important na meron tayong separate place para sa mga ganon. Okay. At saka meron tayong separate ways para hindi maabot ng mga bata, especially sa mga basic education, no? Ganon. Kahit din sa mga senior high students or high school students, dapat nag-iingat din tayo kasi hindi natin alam kung anong pwedeng mangyari sa loob ng ating classroom, no? Also, kapag may mga sirang bagay sa loob ng ating classroom, we can post signages, ganyan, para hindi na sila makapasok, para hindi na nila puntahan or hindi na nila galawin, something like that. Pero mas better if itapon na lang ito or ipaayos if kaya pa. Okay, para sa safety hazard ng ating mga students. So let us move to the last components, which is the strategies for rewards and consequences. Okay, so this is the guide question. So what strategies will you employ for rewards and consequences? Okay, so dito naman papasok yung rewards and consequences na pwede nating i-employ inside our classroom, no? So for example is, if marami sa students natin or sa loob ng classroom natin na nakakuha ng higher grades or yung kanilang performance task is maganda, so as a reward pwede natin bigyan ng exemption with other tasks and activities, no? Pwede yun as a rewards. So sa if naman si students or sino students they break some class rules, pwedeng consequences dito is they will wrote a back-to-back paper that they will not do it again. Pwede natin sila pagawan ng letter or sa back-to-back na paper, no, na hindi na nila gagawin yun ulit as a consequences. So, pero itong si rewards class and consequences is depende pa rin to kay teacher kung ano yung gagamitin niya. Okay? So, as long as hindi natin na-break yung code of ethics natin. Okay, so now let us move to our last slide, which is the steps in designing classroom management plan. Okay, so the first is creating the plan. So, of course, no, we need to create the plan first. And then, we need to implement it according to the plan that we create. And after implementing it, we need to monitoring the plan. So, of course, no, kailangan pa rin natin i-monitor kung yung plan na create at in-implement natin. If there is something wrong ba, or maayos pa ba siya or not, or something like that. We need to monitor our plan. Okay? So, of course, when we are monitoring our plan, no, nagkakaroon ng observation dito. So, based sa ating observations, we can improve our plan. Okay? So, pwede natin i-improve ang ating plan na ginawa natin for us to have a better and effective classroom management plan. That's all po for today's report. Thank you and God bless.